This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party.
That was the first resource you had.
Well, and the whole dynamic is, there's been years that have passed.
Right. And you're questioning her father.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can you imagine getting a phone call saying, hey, I think you're my dad?
And what about to find out?
When it comes to 3-year-old Isaiah, you are the father.
Well, one, that call won't happen. But
Because he changed his number?
No, but I went through not that type of a situation, but
Let's have a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.
Hello, guys. It is the PB and Jaisy show. I am Sarah Paget. I have...
Bill Stedham.
Oh, he remembered his name.
And I am Jaisy George.
Are you worried about me forgetting my name?
Maybe.
We're always concerned.
I was going to ask you guys, have y'all done any of like the Ancestry.com or 23andMe? Have y'all done
I really haven't. I've thought
You're worried
about it.
about the criminal aspect of it?
No. My Ann is trying to get me to do it in a big way, but I just haven't done it.
It's really, really interesting. What about you? Have you done
I
it?
haven't done it. I feel like my parents know unless if someone has lied, back like a couple of generations, and they're all kind of stuck in a small area in India. So, I mean...
Well, and what's cool though too, so
too
even though,
much.
because like my parents both had their report, but you don't get 50-50 of your parents, right? So there's still a breakdown of your genetics. And so I did the 23andMe, and it even tells you things like, you are more apt to like cilantro, or you're, different like physical traits that you're more apt. It's a really cool thing. But with that comes some other things. I know I've had some people reach out to me saying, hey, do you know who this guy is? I think it's my dad. It was a cousin of mine they were trying to find that was her dad.
Ended up being her dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we also found it would be my great grandma's daughter. So it would be my grandma's sister. Was that great aunt? What would that be?
Well,
Is that
I'm not
great
sure.
aunt?
Yeah,
My grandma's sister?
Your grandma's sister, yeah.
So she reached out and said, I was adopted at a young age, and she had it was like a first level connection, so somebody that was blood. And so she reached out to our family, and it's just her and one son out of 9 that's surviving. But she got to come to our family reunion last year.
I saw that on Facebook.
It was really cool. So there's some really cool stuff that comes out of it.
Would I learn what color my hair is going to be when I grow up?
We already know.
Well,
we already know that.
I think it's kind of stuff like that.
But today, and I'll let Danielle, if you want to tell your name and your experience with 23andMe, first of all?
Actually, it was Ancestry.
Ancestry. Okay, so you can introduce yourself, and we'll shoot you some questions.
So my name is Danielle Wheeler, and I actually started with Ancestry&Me first. I went ahead and you do the spit and the thing.
Yeah.
And came back, and it was showing that I was half Asian, which was quite
Did it tell you what half was Asian?
Actually, I already knew which half it was because I know my mother, and
Right.
I didn't know my father at the time. So, yeah. So it
So
was...
Jaisy, you're Asian, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Well, what made you want to do Ancestry? Did you have a thing of I don't know if who my dad is really my dad, or did you just want to?
So I actually, when I was 18, I did my first blood donation, and prior to that, I always knew I was different from my brother and sister growing up. I knew something was wrong. You can just feel it in your gut.
Did you feel like you looked different than them?
Completely felt like I looked different from them as well. Although my mom raised my sister and I, because we're only 16 months apart, as twins. But I still felt like I didn't look like her at all. Yeah. So, yeah. So
Does she have blonde hair, blue eyes?
Actually, she's very dark black hair as well.
So you grew up thinking y'all were twins?
No, I just knew that we weren't twins. My mother raised us as twins because we were just 16 months apart.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We just grew up looking like that, and she would put us in the
matching outfits
of one color. The other one has the other color. But yes, I just knew I was different because I was so light complected. Her and my brother both are super dark. So I just knew something was different. I did my blood donation, brought my results back, and I was like, I'm A positive. That's odd. You are O negative, and my supposed father was O positive. I go, you can't get an A positive baby out of that.
Yeah.
I'm in high school, I know this.
You're right, science.
Hello.
Yes.
the Mansfield school system taught me something.
Right. So a few years down the line, my mother came to me and she's like, no, he's not your father.
So the guy that raised you at this point, up to this point, that's what you'd been told.
That's what I had been told,
Okay.
that he was my father. And a few years later, I was 26. She says, no, he's not your father. I have to tell you. I was like, oh.
After I already showed you some evidence that
Right. Yes. And I was like, okay. Took it the way I was. Very emotional.
For sure.
Obviously.
Oh, I understand that.
Well, I really think, and I don't know if it's because of movies that we watch or whatever, but as a kid, I always thought, when are my parents going to tell me I'm adopted? Or when are my parents going to tell me?
No one is.
And my brothers would mess with me all the time, too, you're adopted, And so
Same.
you always in the back of your head. So it happened to you.
Yes.
Your whole life, what you thought, all of a sudden. And how old were you at this point?
I was 26.
26.
When I was told. I was teased as well for my brother and sister that I was adopted. I was like, no.
They probably
guys are
didn't.
crazy.
Did they really think that, or they were just messing with you and it happened
They
to be
did
true?
not know either. They absolutely didn't know either.
So
but-
they didn't know until you found out at 26?
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
wow.
How did they feel about it?
So they, unfortunately, my sister and I do not talk still to this
Because
day.
of that?
Because of that?
Because of me finding my biological family.
Gotcha. And I've heard that a lot, that a lot of people take that as I'm not good enough or we're not good enough.
Right.
Or they weren't there for you and we were.
Right, right. But I think it's more of a curiosity and knowing where you came from and knowing the history of something. It doesn't take away from what you already have, but I think there's just a built-in curiosity that's there.
Oh,
right?
definitely. It's the curiosity and knowing that you feel empty. There's an emptiness that you feel.
For sure.
It hurts. You want to know where those lips came from. You want to know where that nose came from. You want to know why you act the way you act when your family is completely different from you that you grew up with. And it's just, it's hard that we don't talk anymore. My brother felt the same way, but he understands that it was just something that I needed to look for. So, yes, I started with Ancestry, and that's how I got my results of 50-50. 50% Asian, and then 50%, and it's Filipino. And the other 50% was Mexican and Spanish. So that's my mom's side, and I knew that was her side. So I was like, that doesn't sound right. She told me it was not Asian.
Oh, so even at this point, she's still, okay.
She actually, unfortunately, did not know who he was.
So where do you start? So you know all of a sudden that who you thought your dad is not your dad. Well, then what?
Well, so I called her, and I was like, okay, or actually, no, let me backtrack. I didn't call her. I went ahead and did 23andMe.
Just to make sure.
Maybe something happened. They switched something up on me. So I did 23andMe, and yeah, sure enough, that came back same, 50-50. So I called her, and I was like, do you have a different story for me?
Yeah.
She goes, are you sitting? Yes, I'm sitting, and I'm laughing at this point because I find
You have to.
Yes, it's laugh or cry.
It's the only way you can get through it,
Exactly. So I'm laughing at this point, and she says, yes, okay. He looks like Bruce Lee is the way she described him described him to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to be looking for Bruce Lee at this point.
Yeah.
And then, many years pass by, and you don't find them, and then you see these stories on Lifetime or on Oxygen, and you see these stories of how easy it is to find your biological family, because I had third and fourth cousins on this last name is Sacro, third and fourth cousins that were showing up on my family and on Ancestry and 23andMe, and it's hard because I can tell them my story, they don't know anything about it.
They don't recognize the name.
They don't
or
recognize
anything.
the name. They don't recognize him. I didn't even have a name to start off with.
Were you showing them like a picture of Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
An uncle that looks like this?
Exactly. And I mean, it's just, you don't hear it in the Filipino family-wise of them going and doing blood work because they're so tight-knit with each other that they all know each other.
Right, there's no reason. Yeah.
Exactly right. So it's just hard to know where to start, how to start, and where to go from there.
Wow. So you now, fast forward to today, you have a whole additional family, right?
I do actually. So I've always heard third time's a charm. I did my heritage. My heritage actually brought up a niece/cousin that could possibly be mine first. And first niece, first cousin. So I reached out to her and I said, you know, are you possibly this person I'm looking for? He was in Germany, Wiesbaden in Germany at the time. Probably said that wrong, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I have no idea if you said it right or not.
Okay. He was in Wiesbaden, Germany at the time in 1983. My mother was there. She was in the She wasn't in the military, but she traveled in the military because my so-called father was active in the Army at that time. So I go, they stayed at this hotel, and he worked at the hotel. I mean, do you know anything about it? Never heard a word. Never heard a word.
And this is all just online or on the app
This
or whatever?
is just straight through the app.
Okay.
I actually find something on my neighborhood Facebook page, and it says that somebody, you can go to DNA. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Facebook page that you can look. DNA Angels or Angels, something like that. And so I got on it and I started reading everybody's story, and these angels are helping these people look for their family. So I thought maybe if I just put my story out there, which I have never done before, put my story out there and see if an angel can pick it up and look and help me look for it.
So these are basically people technology-wise that can help try to connect some dots.
Just out of the goodness of their heart, they're just helping.
Exactly right.
That's
DNA
awesome.
detectives is what the Facebook
What a
page
great
is called.
resource.
Yes. So I put my story out there, and I had an angel pick it up like that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And within 48 hours, she had the name of my father, and she had a whole list and saying, I believe this is your sister. I believe this one's your sister as well. And this is your great grandfather. And I believe that this is your father's last name, and go on from there.
Wow.
So do you ultimately end up approaching them to confirm?
So we found them all through Facebook, and she advised me. She goes, I don't give out information of reaching out to people. If you want to reach out to them, that's on your
She just gives you
term.
names and then you figure the rest out.
Exactly right. So I reached out to the potential niece, and she blew up my phone, and we were talking. She sent me pictures, which I've never seen a photo of this man before. Never. She sent me pictures. She kind of fact my story of everything, and after that we finished talking. It had to have been at least a few hours that we talked, and then I never heard from her again until 2 a.m. that night. I had another message from a different woman.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and she was like, I need you to talk to me right now. We need to go over this information that you're telling my niece, so on and so forth. So I knew it was a sister that was reaching out to
Your
me.
sister, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sure I think most people would have that reaction, like, is this really, are they trying to get money from me? Or are they trying to do
Right.
something weird? Are they trying to hack me?
And you kind of feel protective if it's your
dad.
child, but if it's if it's the child and they're talking to your sister, you feel
gotcha.
like,
Yeah.
why are you talking to my kid when you should talk directly to me?
Right.
When it's that was the first resource you had.
Well, and the whole dynamic is, there's been years that have passed.
Right. And you're questioning her father.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
Can you imagine getting a phone call saying, hey, I think you're my dad?
one, that call won't happen. But
Because he changed his number.
no, but I went through not that type of a situation, but as you guys know, I didn't see my mom for almost 50 years. Until 2 years ago? 2.5 years ago, when I went to my niece's wedding, and there she was. And that was an interesting experience. And then she showed up for my 60th birthday party, which was really cool.
And family dynamics are hard enough when
Damnamics.
That's a hard word to say. They're hard enough when we're here and communicating and all that. And so, so you've got new family, talking to the niece, and so this is the niece's mom.
This is the niece's aunt.
Denise's aunt. Okay.
Okay.
Which would be your sister?
Which would
or
be my sister.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you ultimately get to meet in person, or have you done that yet?
I have not done that yet.
Do you want to?
I absolutely want to, and I actually have plane tickets scheduled.
Really?
Do they all live in the Philippines?
One lives in the Philippines, and then the other sister stayed in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's still living in Germany right now, but we are all planning to meet in January.
And they're all on board with doing that?
Yes.
Well,
And then
very
what's
good.
the age difference between you guys? So we're y'all.
Oh gosh, so my the oldest sister, her name is Eileen, and for respects, the way they prefer that we confront them is ate. So it looks like the word ate, like you ate something, but you pronounce it as ate.
Does that mean like sister?
Sister, correct.
Okay.
And so ate Eileen, she is the oldest sister.
Okay.
She is, I'm 38, and she's just turned 50.
Oh, wow.
So about 12 years?
Yes.
So real dad was married with kids
yes.
when this happened. Okay, so that's a whole different conversation
So
too.
he was actually married to a wife in the Philippines, and he left and moved to Germany. Yes, and this is how it all happened.
And I probably missed this in the transition. Where is he now?
So unfortunately, he's passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He passed in '94 from a horrible car accident in Germany.
Wow.
So I will never get to meet him, but which is super sad. I've done my crying, but I'm just happy now. I really am just happy that
to have some answers.
To have some closure to know.
Yes, absolutely. I don't feel that that emptiness anymore. I don't feel that. I'm not gonna cry.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though, because for years, decades in my case, I hadn't seen my mom. It was a weird family dynamic, and mom and dad split, and so I know exactly what you're talking about, and
well, I think not knowing is so hard, and having some answers and, like you said, some closure is way different. And ideally it would have been awesome to meet him, but just to know who he was and have someone that can tell you stories about him and pictures.
Yes, to even just see a picture of him.
I mean,
have you seen similarities?
It's funny because I've done a side-by-side of us together, and I look exactly like him.
And so he had no idea that you existed?
He has no idea I exist.
Wow. And so daughters were how old when they found out? You said 40s, 50s?
So the oldest one found out, it's been now a year since I've done this. So 48, 49-ish. And then the middle child, Ate Anna, she is, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot for not knowing this, but I can't tell you how old she is. I do know she's about 10 years older than I am as well.
So is it 2 sisters or 3?
2 sisters.
And they're both older than you.
And you've got nieces, nephews.
I do. I have lots of nieces and nephews. They are also absolutely beautiful.
That's
too.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So you're going to go to where they're at?
Yes, we're meeting in Manila, Philippines, because that's where the flight takes us straight there.
Very good.
And they will be picking me up from the airport.
Is your whole family going, or is it just you?
It's just me and my wife that will be attending.
That's going to be awesome.
Exciting.
It is.
So now I saw on Facebook that you've done some Zoom and stuff with them, right? So you've had some face-to-face. How did that go?
Oh, man. So we did it for the very first time when we first found out what was going on. We did the fact checks to make sure that he really was my father. And we also did a personal DNA test just to make
all
sure.
3 of y'all?
Actually, it was just the middle child and myself, my middle sister.
And that tells you if you have matching.
Exactly. And it came up completely.
Yeah, we're sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a match.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You are the father.
Yes. So after that is when we did the initial face-to-face, because it was just, they just wanted to make sure I was a real person.
For sure.
Real person. I wasn't somebody that was scamming them, and I kept telling them, I'm not that person to scam anybody. I don't want any money. I don't want this. I'm just looking for my father. That's all I want. I need closure. I need to know.
Well, and so did they have any issues? Like, I'm sure that's a lot to take in and a lot to deal with, and you can't even confront your dad or talk to your dad about it.
Absolutely.
Is his wife still alive?
She
their mom?
absolutely is still alive, and that's the whole reason why we are going in January is because it's her birthday.
Okay.
So
Really?
we're going to surprise her for her birthday.
So she's open to meeting you guys?
Open
and she's
to meeting me, and yes, absolutely. She has been really sweet through this whole thing. I've actually spoken to her as well. Of course, at the very beginning, she was very standoffish. She didn't want me to post anything on Facebook,
Right.
but out of respect, of course, I did the same thing.
Sure.
I didn't post anything about my story and how I found them and that he is my father. I didn't do anything like that out of her respect until she was absolutely okay with
She
it.
was ready.
That's awesome that
is
everyone's on
cool.
board. That's really great.
So the sisters, did they welcome you right away, or was that still kind of something you had to work on?
No, they even said after the DNA test that if you are not our sister, you are still our sister.
Oh, that
Yes.
is awesome.
They are absolutely incredible. I cannot. I can't tell you how absolutely incredible they are because my family that I grew up with was so hard, so judgmental, and it was just hard.
For sure.
But with them, they just accept you. They accept you for who you are, and they don't judge you at all. And I love that. And I can go to them and talk to them about anything, and they're just there for me. And I haven't had that.
That's beautiful.
And so brother, so I know you said sister's not really having much to do with you, but brother is okay with all of this, and he's been in the loop. And
Yes, my brother is absolutely okay with everything now. Of course, he felt those feelings of, am I not enough?
Right.
Why are you looking for this other family?
Right.
I've been there for you, but he's understanding now.
And I'm sure seeing you happy, and like you said, there's some holes that are finally, things are coming together and they're filled. So I mean that it's hard to deny you that, know.
Right.
So, and you don't have to answer this or not, but how does mom feel about all of this?
She's okay. I'm gonna say. Yeah. I'm gonna just say that she's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
As okay as she can be, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's okay with it.
It is okay. I'm having a hard time with her, to be honest with you, because of the lying and not knowing and didn't have the facts straight at the very beginning. So it's very hard not to judge her for it. I shouldn't be judging her because
your new family is teaching you how not to, right?
Exactly. The Lord's the one that judges you.
Right.
So.
Right.
I'd say
Time heals that.
just say let the Holy Spirit deal with mom.
Exactly right.
And I think too, you think about it because you're a parent too. You do what you think is best and at the time, and down the road when everyone's looking at you and judging you for it, it may not seem like it was, but honestly, you as a parent, you do what you can and you do what you think is best, and that's got to be hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm so excited for you to meet so you said January, meet your sisters in January.
We leave January 21st. We'll be there for 2 weeks. Wow. So I come home in February.
Well, and I've heard so I'm sure you've Googled and researched and all that, but the cost of things is so minimal. Like you can go get a massage for like a couple bucks. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sure it's beautiful.
I mean, the pictures that I've seen so far, yes.
Isn't that where Maria used to go to, the
really
Philippines? Nice. We had an agent or have an agent that works in our Arlington office, and she used to go once a year. I don't know if she still does.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly where she goes.
But I remember her telling us
the most common, because that's the only place where there's the airport.
She'd be like, Sarah, you need to go. You need to go. And she would tell us all these things she would do, and it'd be like, yeah, it was only $4. And I'm like, what?
Because it's pesos, so it's just like Mexico, and that's their money is pesos.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How fun.
I learned so much today.
Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see updates from when you do go and finally see your sisters face to face.
Yes. So this is a little segment that we throw in here to add a little, a little bit of humor, a little bit of spice. And so this is what we like to call
Tales from the Lockbox. So just kind of a funny story, and believe it or not, I picked this one out before we got this session. So let's follow through with this.
So no judgment.
Yeah, no judgment on this.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, but so the son comes up to his dad and says, "Daddy, I fell in love and I want to date this awesome girl." And the father says, "That's great, son. Who is she?" And the son says, "It's Sandra, the neighbor's daughter." The father says, "Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. I have to tell you something, son, but you must promise not to tell your mother." He says, "Okay. Sandra is actually your sister.
Oh, no.
So the boy's naturally bummed out. But a couple of months later, he brightens up. He comes to Dad again. Daddy, I fell in love again, and she's even hotter. And Dad says, that's great, son. Who is she? And the son says, it's Angela, the other neighbor's daughter. And the dad says, oh, no. I wish you hadn't said that. Angela's also your sister. And this goes on a couple of times, and the son was so mad, he went straight to his mom crying. He says, Mom, I'm so mad at Dad. I fell in love with 6 girls, but I can't date any of them because Daddy is their father. The mother hugs him affectionately and says, my love, you can date whoever you want. Don't listen to him. He's not your father. The son cries.
Well, and he changed the names because it's actually Bill's story.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, we also want to level up a little bit, and I think
So
Jaisy's got that one.
I've got a great quote from someone I love, Betty White. She says, you can lie to
R.I.P.
anyone in the world and even get away with it perhaps, but when you're alone and looking at your own eyes in the mirror, you can't sidestep the truth. Always be sure you can meet those eyes directly. Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
Oh, that's good.
So I think that is something really to take away, that you can say whatever you want to other people, but you've got to be true to yourself. So make sure you can look at yourself in the mirror, guys.
Yeah, and we'll try to get with Danielle to get some of the resources she talked about. So if you're in the same situation and wondering what that looks like, what did you say it was DNA
Detectives on Facebook.
I've never heard of that. That's awesome. And
How can someone become a DNA detective?
It sounds fun.
And join the team.
Well, and all the 23andMe, Ancestry.com, we don't get paid for mentioning any of those, but they're great services if you're curious about genetics or looking for things like that. And the more people that do it, of course, they have your stuff anyway. So if you're worried about criminal stuff, unless you're trying to hide out like Bill and doesn't want his DNA in the system,
It's already there.
yeah, it's there. Yeah, you were military, so your stuff's everywhere.
Yep.
But I think it's just a cool tool, and technology can work in great ways. So thank you for sharing your story. I know that was not easy, but it was eye-opening for me, and what a blessing that technology can be for sure.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
glad
so
you're
much
here.
for being here.
Thank you.
Please like, subscribe, follow, check us out. Links below. Yeah, we out.
We-
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB and J.